Hello.
Good morning, good morning. It's great to stay up late. Good morning to you and you and you.
Welcome, Karina Brahm.
Oh, Karina
A
Brahm.
new guest.
A new family guest. So hang about because we will sing you a welcome family guest song.
Yeah, a big welcome to Karina Brahm. Welcome, Karina Brahm. Everyone, welcome, Karina Brahm.
Welcome, Karina Brahm. And if you're new, you've just come over from Instagram, welcome. Welcome.
I'm in a state of nigh on panic because I've got one coffee pod left. I can't sustain myself. I'm like a crack addict.
Have you properly checked under the...
I've checked everywhere. I've checked under your side of the bed. I've checked your knicker drawer. No pods anywhere. What am I going to do, guys?
And I'm in a terrible state because I just looked at my tart in the oven and it seems to be leaking.
And I'm in a terrible state because I just looked at my tart and she's leaking. You'd heard the fart she did earlier.
Mark!
It sounded like a wet kipper landing on the floor.
Mark, shut the...
What's the saying in Arabic about a fart?
Darat al-balat.
What does that mean?
Farting on the kitchen tiles. It's a well-known sport.
Think about farting on a kitchen tile for a minute.
Sound.
And the sound is
People might be eating their breakfast.
Well, if you are, I was eating mine.
Betsy Barnes says she prefers your hair longer, Mark.
Oh, well, there we go.
It was very sophisticated.
NADIA took a photograph of me earlier with my curls, or a perspective I couldn't see, and posted it on my Instagram. It's very weird. It's very weird. Curly at the back. Look, Reem AW. She's saying it there. Look.
Darat al-balat.
Hi, Martin Smith. Tim Reed. Good morning. Spinner's End. Better out than in. Absolutely. But in some cases, not really. Joy Manning. One day at a time, Angie. It was Angie struggling up there. Helen Flynn. Cheryl Newby. Emma McDonnell. Annie Blue. Laura Lawler. Wet Kipper. April Hill. Emma McGregor. Jen Leggs.
Joy Manning. Stuart Walker. Somebody here saying, sorry, there was just a message on.
Chi.
Rianne. Oh, Rianne. I'm in a terrible state because I have a horrendous chest infection. I've just done an interview on Zoom and croaked my way through it. Oh, big hug.
Big hug. Oh.
Thing is, everybody's feeling a bit ill at the moment, aren't they? We wake up every morning and just go, oh, I feel awful. I was talking about this morning on Dutch Tits Off Live. I think there's just loads of little viruses going around that usually we wouldn't entertain. But because our immune systems are down, we seem to be getting stuff all the time.
But I also think that we're in a little bit of a kind of... It's like we're in a sort of national hangover or international hangover after... I mean, when you stop and pause and reflect on what's happened, it's kind of unbelievable, really, isn't it? And,
really
and there are different moments where you do that. I think we've got used to now the idea that perhaps we're on the homeward stretch a bit. But it means that you kind of have more time to reflect on what the bloody hell went by just back there. It's kind of really weird. And I don't know, it's weird. It's kind of...
Emma B, I've just been weighed and I've put 4 pounds on. Now listen, you've done lots of crying emojis there. That could be down to anything. But if you're honest, have you been maybe picking a bit more, snacking a bit more? I'm still finding the picking so hard. So hard. Maybe just have a few days of writing down what you're eating just to get yourself back on track, because it can be doing that picking thing, can't it? And I know you... Yeah, and I know, Emma, you suffer a lot with your fibromyalgia and all of that, and it's a lot, isn't it? And and food is such a comfort. That's the thing. Ellen says she feels like she has a hangover every single morning.
Yeah, I've been like that, and I don't drink, and you haven't had a drink either. I pick a lot. I've spent the last 2 days. I've been on essentially a liquid diet, and I do feel lighter and better for it, but I'm waking up with such... I had to go to the loo about 18 times in the night. It was so annoying. I'm a picker too, says Hazel Malbon. Well, we've got some weird stories. It's quite a light news story today, though I have to say I was really pleased that James O'Brien on LBC, whatever you think of him, is going on about the fact that we're having huge shortages in this country of all manner of produce.
Terrible.
The construction industry is at its wit's end because timber, not just timber, but all sorts of other, I've been reading online, all sorts of other key, what they're called, tools and substances and construction elements and materials, that's it, just aren't coming through. It's not to say none are coming through, but a lot aren't. There's also a lack of haulage drivers, truck drivers and what have you.
Huge shortages in the supermarkets.
Huge shortages in the supermarkets. Now, I don't know if you remember me saying quite a while ago, I think I'm not saying this is entirely what happened to the government, but I think COVID provided a really convenient cloud cover for Brexit. It all happened coincidentally at the same time as we were being hit by things. It could be blamed on COVID, absolutely, and some of it will have been COVID related. But what's going to be intriguing is in the next couple of months, we're going to start to see, as the world opens up somewhat, the full extent of Brexit. So
Jen
I think
Legs
it's going
is
to be
just
intriguing.
saying that her husband owns a builder's, what do you call it, builder's yard? Is that right? And massive low on cement. And yeah, this
Absolutely.
is exactly what he was saying on the
Yeah.
radio today.
I've seen it across the board.
And there's also real problems with, like now, the actual drivers, because they're getting paid more to be working the supermarkets or something. They
But
were
also a
saying.
huge number of the drivers on this side of the this side of the English Channel are European too, and a lot of European drivers have said no, you can sort of.
Yeah.
Lorraine May and Fifi, we will do your
Welcome to the family guest area.
Yeah,
We
let's have
will
you
be
on board.
singing you a welcome song individually to you that you can use as your ringtone if you like. But I'll just warn you, we're terrible singers.
And
so maybe
also,
not.
some of you guys who become members or they pop up on the live have been members before. It's just that you've renewed your membership. So, sometimes if we've already sung you, doesn't matter, you'll get another sing song. Hope you're doing okay, says Andrew Liberatsky. Thank you very much, I am. Amy May, Brexit means that we won't be able to have a speaking coach, German uni student at my college for German class because I'm in a deprived area and we can't afford it.
Oh, God.
Yeah, it's frustrating, isn't it? Gabrielle, I'm going to London tomorrow for the first time since the start of the pandemic, meeting my work team for the first time, feel nervous but excited. We call that
I'm so
nervous-sighted.
pleased for you, Gabrielle.
Nervous-sighted. Sorry,
What James O'Brien was saying, that we've got a real problem here because the government at the moment are really fudging over the problem, because if they admit there's a problem,
Of course.
then they're having to admit there's a problem with the very thing that got them into power, which was Brexit. Now, we were Remainers, we're really open about that, but we want Brexit to work because who wouldn't? I mean, when people say, oh, you're a Remainer, you just want it. I don't. I want it to all go right. I want to be wrong. I want
we
it to be the
accept that we've
best
moved
thing.
on from the result.
Yeah,
We're
the
not
result.
yeah.
And so we must be able to hold the government accountable.
Hold the heat
and say,
to the government's
hang on
feet.
a minute, we're not stupid. I mean, I remember this a couple of weeks ago, Mark, that the government was saying that the problem with the wood, right, the problem that we're having with wood coming in, that Jen Legg's husband knows all about, being a builder, we're going to grow more trees.
Yeah, but we've
Just
got a
think
long
about
wait.
how long it takes to grow a tree, and we already have a shortage of the wood.
It's going to take we can't rely on trees to get our wood.
And the problem is, where the fuck is... I've forgotten his name there, Keir Starmer. I mean, where is the opposition holding them accountable for these statements that they... You can't run away from the fact...
Who's holding the blowtorch to the Tories' feet, guys?
You can't run away from the fact that there are not... That some shelves in the supermarkets are empty now because goods aren't getting through. There's a problem with the food chain. That's never good.
Not just the food chain, but the construction chain.
And the
And this
construction.
will trickle down. And of course, if you think about it, you don't have materials. The trickle down is that, people who work in the construction industry can't work because they can't fit, they can't build, they can't make. That will hold up the production line of things. These things have a knock-on effect. I just think we're going to hear more and more about these stories. And if we had a press that was in any way inclined, because let's not forget, the vast majority of the right-leaning press advocated the Brexit programme. So vast swathes of our press coverage in this country isn't going to want to flag up the fact that this is a possible
And I
consequence.
think they've got to. It's like, we're not going to go, no, that's Brexit. But if we don't look at the problems that we've got, and the problem with this government all the way through is it's always reacting rather than being proactive. And if we're starting to have problems, let's just deal with it. Let's not do finger pointing.
Yeah.
And no. Let's just get it sorted so we don't end up in a worse bloody mess.
Claire Stevenson, we will give you a shout out.
Honestly, check out James O'Brien's beginning of his show this morning. It was really good. He lays things out so clearly. He's so articulate. He's very, very annoying.
Is anyone else getting these sort of restrictions on produce? It's only me. My local major supermarket is now rationing the amount of milk you can buy because they're only getting one delivery a day.
Yeah. I've people at work saying that the
That's
other
an
day.
interesting
We're into
point.
a ration situation.
Yeah, but Faye Gargaro says, I'm kind of glad there's a shortage because it will stop people buying so much. This does beg a more philosophical question, which is one where you've talked about a lot about global travel and holidaying, is that if all of as we've discovered, and we were watching a documentary last night, again about climate change and how irreversible things appear to be, You know, if we have to challenge the way we consume everything, there's a strong argument for saying, is COVID and all of this stuff perhaps, and maybe even Brexit in a weird way, a way of kind of stymieing consumption? I mean, sadly, Brexit isn't going to be a way of stymieing consumption. It's only going to stymie consumption for the Brits. So you're right.
But I worry
we have
that
to
people will
question how much we
panic
consume.
I think people will panic by, and we'll have the appalling scenes that we had at the beginning of the pandemic with just overflowing bins of spoiled food that people hadn't been able to consume, which is even more heartbreaking.
Ellen, well, shit, I better clear the veg patch and start growing again. Not a wrong thought in many regards. Ollie Clark, hi Nadia Martin. How do you feel about the non-stop construction of horrific-looking high-rise flats built by the council in Croydon's residential areas? It's a disgrace and ruining ourselves.
I know.
But I'll tell you why that... I agree, Ollie, but I'll tell you why that is. It's because a lot of councils can only increase their income. And let's not forget, Croydon was one of those councils that was had a something TR4 or something. And by building lots of flats, they can get lots of council tax. I mean, you know, and all that sort of stuff. So, you know, there's an economic necessity driving that.
We had nobody overlooking our property, and then suddenly we had 500 flats overlooking our property, and that was... God, I still
Jen Legs has said this a lot. Apparently there's a massive project in Canada and they've bought all the timber, not Brexit.
I don't think they could buy all the timber of the world.
No. Hey, Sky Elise, welcome back. Hope you're well.
Yeah, I hope you're feeling a bit better.
Big love. Just saw your name flying up there. Sharon Tattersall, with all the holidaymakers coming to Cornwall, our supermarkets are practically empty. It's a nightmare. Wow, okay. I think the NHS will be privatised too. I hope you look. Chi-Chi, it's funny you should say that. Chi-Chi is really stumbling around. She's going back to the vets on Friday, but she's you know, she's...
You looked at her now, you'd think she's dead.
No, but she's
absolutely splat out. Move her, let's see if they can see her.
Her mood is great, but her sight is not.
Yeah.
So she's bumping into a hell of a lot of things. So we're going to get to that point where we can't move things in the house, which is a nightmare for Nads because she's very untidy.
Hit the like button underneath where we're sitting if you're enjoying spending time with us, as we are enjoying spending time with you.
So let's rattle through the news because we've got a few things we've got to push on and get on with, guys. Sorry, but we didn't want to leave you, you know, not attended to with coffee moaning. The Queen, I thought I like this. The Queen, Prince William and Kate have wished Meghan a happy 40th birthday. And I think that shows real maturity.
Yeah.
Doesn't it? Members of the royal family have sent their best wishes to the Duchess of Sussex on the Duke and Duchess's official Twitter account. They said, wishing a happy 40th birthday to the Duchess of Sussex, alongside a picture of Meghan and a birthday cake emoji.
Nice.
Could we possibly be seeing, you know, bridges being built? The Queen's official account posted 3 pictures to mark the occasion. A photo of Meghan, the Duke of Sussex and their son Archie on tour in South Africa.
That's nice.
Another of the photos shows the monarch with Meghan, the Queen with Meghan, for their first joint engagement. That's really nice. I think that's really nice. And wouldn't it be lovely to sort of hear a sort of vaguely... How do you think that will go down at Archie Manners? That's what I'm calling it. Archie Manners. How do you think that will go down at Archie Manners? Do you think they'll accept it with good grace? And do you think perhaps part of it is like, look, here's a lovely message for you boys. Here's a lovely message, Harry and Meghan. Now, please rethink that bloody memoir. I think that might be what she's thinking. Please, just rethink that memoir. I think it's really nice. Archie Manners, that's what I call it. Archie Manners, go down the Archie Manners. How do you think that will be received? Do you think Meghan will like that? Do you think that will sort of
I think
building
it's
bridges?
always nice, isn't it? I'm sure most people would prefer not to have an argument than have one.
Especially with the Queen.
Yeah.
There would have been a time when they'd been off with her head. I love this. Oh, well, hang on. Someone else mentioned this. Right. I want to see what you think about this. Mm-hmm. Much talk about under 16-year-olds getting the COVID vaccine. Okay? Recommended, advised, suggested. What about this? Minister refuses to say if parents will be asked for consent.
No, they have to give consent. They were talking about that this morning.
Minister refuses to say if parents will be asked for consent. What do you think, guys? Should you have to give your consent?
Oh, for the 16 to 17-year-olds, not below.
For the below 18s. Or are they going to say it's mandatory in schools?
Because, you know, in lots of countries, I mean, Israel, America, they're vaccinating 12-year-olds.
No, I know, but a little bit like the BHG or SHG or the whatever. Do you remember we used to get
BCG.
them? We didn't get a choice. You just walked in and...
No, we will have given consent. They will have given consent. You can't inject into a child's arm without getting consent from them. Maybe they're discussing whether 16 now is because that's the age of consent for other things. But I don't think below 16 there'll be consent.
So we're just dealing with a slightly moronic minister. Universities Minister Michelle Donnellan said ministers were expecting an imminent announcement, but she refused to discount the idea that they wouldn't be seeking consent from parents. I think just that headline sort of struck me. It's not about whether we should or should that. It's about having the room to make a choice. School vaccinations. Are they thinking of school vaccinations? It's looking increasingly likely. I think everyone's going to get a jab.
I was listening this morning to Tom Sawbridge at Sawbridge, and there was a very decent scientist on there talking. He said, he said 12-year-olds. He said, what do you think of this vaccinating the 16-year-olds? He said, it's not enough. He said they have to be vaccinating from 12. That's what they're doing in other countries, and it works, and it's been approved. And you just think, oh God. He said, but nothing happens to a 12-year-old if they get COVID. He said, yeah, that's true. Absolutely. For your child to be vaccinated is for the good of everybody. It's for the good of the whole population. Do you think, to stop transmission? Do
you think there's just a sort of an enormous sort of kinetic energy, or sort of just a big push, just to make everyone feel that there's no question that you should just have this? Everyone's.
It like we do with like he was saying. He said, I had rubella as a child. He said rubella. I had German measles. It was a very slight unwellness, I had a bit of a rash, but if I caught rubella and I gave it to a pregnant woman, it would be catastrophic. So that's why we have rubella, and it's going to be probably moved to the same thing with COVID.
Lisa Yarham says, we all had the MMR. In my opinion, it's no different. But Tia Deacon says they're not giving people a lot of choice regarding the vaccine. I've had both jabs. My periods are screwed up. My hair's falling out. I think we should all have the vaccine though. Can I just say, we've said this in many places. We said it in Confessions last week. Can we stop calling people who are cautious or have cause for concern anti-vaxxers? And also, I think, can we not be angry or so sort of rabid if someone feels that for whatever reasons they don't want to get it, or that
choice
it's an infringement?
Is so important.
You've got to be able to have choice. Otherwise, we don't live in a democracy or in a free, libertarian world at all.
I would hate
you can argue
if we
your
lived
case.
in a country where you were forced to.
Argue with someone. Prove your point, but don't.
I think it's a slippery road if you're going to be forced to take medicines that you don't want. But I think we've just got to be tolerant of both sides.
Yeah.
Miss Trisha, how do you feel about Kiki having it? Well, thank God we're not in that position at the moment, because they're only offering it to 16-year-olds.
But can I be honest about that? Can I be honest about it with kids? I'm quite happy that we don't have to think about it yet. That's caution. It's not anti. I've had it. She's had it. It's caution. Yeah. Isn't it? It's just caution.
Yeah.
That's. Okay.
Yeah, I'm glad we're not having to think about it yet. But they said it might move quite quickly.
Yeah, well,
it might be a case that to go back before going back to school, people 13, or they were saying on the radio, it may be that they're offered the vaccine as well.
Well, Sean Thomas is saying, will they trap parents by saying if they don't have the vaccine, their child won't be able to go to school?
Well, that's what they do in America.
Some schools might say that.
You can't go to school unless you have had your MMR.
And also, you couldn't travel to America or emigrate to America unless you have all the vaccines that is required of you. Okay, I just want to move on to this. This is brilliant news. We talked about this earlier in the Olympics. Sky Brown, our 13-year-old skateboarder, has won bronze.
I want to watch it. I love skate. I love that it's part of the Olympics.
I wish we'd kind of watched that. It's one of the few sporting events I'd have liked to watch. I became obsessed with a dentist on Instagram today who's a skateboarder in Hollywood. A Hollywood dentist who's a skateboarder.
Yesterday we were watching a meteorologist who was a weightlifter.
That was bizarre. Did you see how tiny his head was on that enormous muscular body?
Oddest man.
Yeah, we watched a documentary about Bill Nye, the American scientist.
Yeah, it's really good. Really watched it with Kiki. It's really good if you want to watch it.
Sky Brown, 13, is the youngest Britain's youngest ever Olympic medalist. I mean, to be honest, I didn't know you could compete at 13.
That's great.
After falling in her first two runs of the final, the 13-year-old nailed her last attempt, finishing behind the Japanese pair Yosazumi and Hiraki. It was a 12-year-old, the Japanese 12-year-old winner.
Well, I suppose it is a sport for the very young, isn't it? Because you need that fearlessness.
Apart from this dentist in Hollywood, he's quite remarkable. He fixes teeth and then leaps around. But this story I love. This is a sort of and finally story. Barbie launches a doll of the scientist who created the coronavirus vaccine.
Oh.
What do you think of that?
Oh my God, I love that.
Let that sink in. My wish is that my doll will show children careers they may not be aware of, like a vaccinologist, says Dame Gilbert.
Wow.
I think full credit to Mattel.
Let's see it.
There she is with it.
Oh my God. Is she still really skinny?
That's a
Well, she's a real person, so hopefully she's
good
just
question.
built on the real person.
You can't really. There isn't a photo of it.
Oh
You can
my
watch
God, isn't that
go to
fantastic?
the independent newspaper and you
They
can watch
should
it.
keep that up where they do Dolls of Heroes.
Well, I think this isn't the first time. Barbie producer Mattel has created a doll in the likeness of the scientist who designed the Oxford. What I like about this is that they designed it based on the AstraZeneca Oxford, and Mattel is an American company. But hang on, there is I think there's sort of precedent for having done this. I think they've done it a few times. Oh yeah, Professor Gilbert's doll is one of 5 Barbie dolls that Mattel has created to honour women working in science, technology, engineering and maths. What do you think of that, guys?
Great.
I think that's brilliant.
Intimidated.
Intimidated. What, intellectually?
Quite like my Barbie stupid.
That's very funny. You like a stupid Barbie.
I love a stupid Barbie.
I must admit, I became slightly obsessed with Barbies and the girls when they were younger. But did you have Barbie dolls?
Oh my God, I had a Tressie. So you'd press her belly button and her hair would come out and it would, oh my God, we played endlessly with our dolls.
She's just like you then.
Yeah. We must sing our welcome songs,
Oh, yeah,
Tanya, because
absolutely.
I've got to dash off because I've got to do another pod.
Okay, so Lorraine May.
Welcome Lorraine May, welcome Lorraine May, welcome Lorraine May, welcome Lorraine May.
Oh shit, was that today? Claire Stevenson.
Claire Stevenson.
Claire Stevenson.
Claire Stevenson.
Claire.
Welcome.
Hit the thumbs up. What do you call it? Hit
The
the
like
like button.
What's wrong with you?
I don't know what it is.
Oh, can we just say, just off
Got
the
2
back
more
of talking
welcomes.
about vaccinations, our podcast last Friday was all about teens and how they're feeling about vaccinations. It's a really good podcast on Confessions
really
of a
good
Modern
chat.
Parent. So check that out wherever you hear your podcast.
Wherever you hear or listen to a
Podcast,
podcast,
wherever
yeah. Karina Brahm.
Karina Braun.
Karina Brahm.
Karina Braun.
Karina Brahm.
Karina Braun. Braun. Welcome.
This is a great one. Fifi Fovo, Fifi Fovo,
Fifi Fovo, Fifi Fovo, welcome to
Fifi
the
Fovo,
family
Fifi
guest
Fovo,
area.
Fifi Fovo. It's very
We told
hard
you
to
we
sing.
would shit at this.
So there you go. That's shit call-outs for people. Oh, Nanny Di's in the house.
Hello, Nanny Di.
See you later, my darling.
So everybody, yeah, if you were wondering what the hell we were doing there, we have a family guest area. It's 50 pence a week, and whenever anyone joins, we sing them a song. There's 80 no-name Sunday shows.
Staggering amount.
Uploaded there. It's evolved over the time that we've been doing the No Name Sunday show. Now they're about an hour and a half long.
So
with
better
new
value for money than
elements.
the BBC TV licence.
Yes, so if you want to join, there's a little join box underneath. But if you don't want to join, there's so much going on the main channel as well. You'll never be alone.
Be alone.
Group hug.
Group hug. We
Love.
love you.
Bye now.
Hey,
Have a good day now.
stay safe.